Okay, Walkcast. Today we're looking at Tuesday, October 9th, Formulate System of Equations, and that's going to be on page 18. If you would, update your table of contents. Okay, now your table of contents are updated. Let's take a look at our notes. All right, Formulate System of Equations on page 18. Steps to formulate and solve a system. Step 1, define the variables. Step 2, write the equations. Step 3, solve the system. Step 4, explain the solution in sentence form. All right, if you would, update your notes. All right, now your notes are updated. Let's take a look at the examples. All right, Formulate system of equations on page 18. Write and solve the systems of equations. Example 1, the larger of two numbers is 20 less than 3 times the smaller number. The sum of the numbers is 24. Find the numbers. All right, so step 1, we're going to define the variables. So let's say x is the large number, and let's say y is the small number. So with those defined, now let's write step 2, write the equation. So the larger two numbers is, so the larger number, x, the word is means equal, 20 less. So that's minus 20, and 3 times the small number. And then it says the sum, that means we add them, x plus y equals 24. All right, so at this point we have to decide how we're going to solve. In this case, I say we solve by substitution because we have the variable solved for. So solve by substitution. So we write both the equations, x equals 3y minus 20, and x plus y equals 24. Now, substitution means that x is all 3y minus 20, so we're going to substitute that in for x. So that's 3y minus 20, plus I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 in front of the y equals 24. Okay, now by doing that, we only have one variable, which is y, and we're going to solve for that. So 3y plus 1y is 4y minus 20 equals 24. We're going to add 20 to both sides, so that's 4y equals 44. Divide both sides by 4, so y equals 11. Okay, so now that we have y, we're going to substitute that in for y, so that's x equals 3 times 11 minus 20. Well, 3 times 11 is 33, minus 20 is 13, so x equals 13. And then the last step is we're going to explain the solution in sentence form. So we would say the larger number is 13 and the small number is 11. All right, so finish up example 1. All right, example 2. A geometry teacher has a set of 60 plastic pentagons and octagons. He happened to notice that all the figures together had a total of 354 sides. How many of each shapes are there? So step 1, we're going to define the variables. So x equals the number of pentagons. Y is the number of octagons. Step 2, we're going to write the equations. So, geometry teacher had set up 60 plastic pentagons and octagons. You happen to notice that all the figures together had a total of 354 sides. So, The first one is just 60. So that's x plus y equals 60. That's the total number of pentagons and octagons. The second part has to do with sides. Well, we know a pentagon has 5 sides, and an octagon has 8 sides. And that's a total of 354 sides. All right, now in this case, I would say we should do elimination because we both have them in standard form. So in order to do this, let's put a 1 here. What I recommend doing is let's multiply the top equation by a positive 5 and the second equation by negative 2. And the reason being is now what? Wait a second. Oh, what am I doing? A mistake there. Let's just multiply the first equation by a negative 5. So imagine I didn't even say what I just said. Now, look here. And the reason being negative 5 because negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, and negative 5 plus 5 is 0. Okay? So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, x. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, y. And then negative 5 times 60 is negative 300. Now we have 5x plus 8y equals 354. Now, by doing that, we now have negative 5x plus 5x. Those cancel. And negative 5y plus 8y is 3y. And negative 300 plus 354 is 54. Divide both sides by 3. Y equals 18. Okay. Now, the next part's really simple. We know there's a total of 60 pentagons and octagons. So all we have to do is 60 minus 18, which is 42. So x equals 42. And then the last step is we're going to write the solution in sentence form. So we would say there are 42 pentagons and 18 octagons. All right, to finish up example 2. All right, example 3. A group of sophomore students leaves the high school without permission to go to lunch at Taco Bell. If a student buys 2 burritos and 5 tacos, his bill will be $19.50. If another student buys 5 burritos and 2 tacos, his bill will be $22.50. Find the price of each taco and each burrito. All right. So first thing is we define our variables. So let's call, looks like burritos first. So B equals the price of a burrito. And T is the price of a taco. All right. Next thing is we're going to write our equation. So we know that the first student buys 2 burritos, so it's 2B plus 5 tacos, so 5T, and that's a total of $19.50. Now, if another student buys 5 burritos, so it's 5 burritos plus 2 tacos equals $22.50. All right, so again, I would say we solve by elimination because they're both in standard form. So we have the 2 and the 5. So we need to multiply the top equation by positive 5, so we get 10. And the second equation by negative 2, so we get negative 10. All right, so at this point, we'll now get positive 10 and negative 10. So let's do that. So 5 times 2 is 10b plus 5 times 5 is 25t, and then 5 times 1950 is 9750. Okay, now we multiply by negative 2. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10b. Negative 10 or negative 2 times 2 is negative 4t, and negative 2250 times negative 2 is negative 45. All right, so now we'll see 10b minus 10b is 0. It cancels. And then 25 minus 4 is 21t. And then 9750 minus 45 is 5250. Divide both sides by 21. T equals $2.50. So one taco costs $2.50. All right, now in order to find out how much burritos, we need to plug 250 into either equation. I'm just going to plug it into the first equation. So that's 2b plus 5 times 250 equals 1950. So then that's 2b plus 5 times 250 is 1250 equals 1950. Subtract 1250 from both sides. 2b equals 7. Divide 2 by both sides. B equals $3.50. All right, last step is you're going to explain the solution in sentence form. So you would say a taco is $2.50 and a burrito is $3.50. All right, so let's take a look at example 4. Mr. Luke has hidden 575 quarters and nickels in his classroom. The quarters and nickels amount to $83.75. How many quarters and nickels has Mr. Luke hidden in his classroom? So first things first, we're going to define a variable. So Q equals number of quarters, and N is the number of nickels. A little blurry there, that's okay. All right, now the next part is we're going to find our write our equation. So we have 575 quarters and nickels. So that's Q plus N equals 575. Now we talk about how much they're worth. Quarters are 25 cents, plus nickels are 5 cents, and that's a total of $83.75. Now, to make this problem a little more simple, let's convert everything to pennies. So 25 cents is 25 pennies. That way we can get rid of the decimal. And 5 cents is 5 pennies. So it's 5N. Forgot the N, but now we have it. And then $83.75 is 8,375 pennies. If we convert to pennies, now we don't have a decimal. Okay, it makes things a little bit easier. Okay. Now again, we're going to use elimination because they're both in standard form. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 25. By doing that, I'll have negative 25 and positive 25, so they're canceled. So that's negative 25Q minus 25N equals negative 2,875. Then 25Q plus 5N equals 8,375. All right, so now the Q is eliminated. We're left with negative 20N equals now there's a problem with that that sets a negative, and so real time sometimes that happens. Let's manipulate our problem and let's change this. And that's, I'm kind of glad I made a mistake, because then you can see how real time you can change things and not have to erase all your work. So now let's multiply by -5. Let's make that in this case. So -5 times 1 is -5q. -5 times 1n is a -5n. And that's where my mistake was. I multiplied this by -5 and not -25. But by going back and looking at it, I can find that mistake. So now that becomes 20q. That cancels. And you have 5,500. Divide both sides by 20. So Q equals 275. So there's 275 quarters. And this is really easy. You don't even have to write this down. There's 575 coins total. So you know the nickels equals 300. Okay. So finish up. We could say that there are 275 quarters and 300 nickels in the classroom. Okay. Example 5. A rogue Secret Service agent has stolen Air Force One and is flying at an altitude of 10,000 feet. He begins to ascend at a rate of 200 feet per minute. At the same time the Secret Service agent begins to descend, President Jamie Foxx begins to climb at a rate of 50 feet per minute. In the rescue plane, in how many minutes will the plane be at the same altitude? What will be the altitude? So first thing, define our variables. So x is the number of minutes, and y is the altitude in feet. We have our equations. So they start out at 10,000 feet, but they're descending at 200 feet per minute. So it's minus 200 x, and that's your altitude. Now the other plane starts at 0 feet, but is ascending at 50 feet. Okay. Now here, I'm going to say we solve by substitution, and this is a special substitution because they're both equal to y, so they're both equal to each other. So we can have 10,000 minus 200x equals 50x. Now to solve, we're going to add 200x to both sides, so we get 10,000 equals 250x. Divide both sides by 250, so x equals 40. Now, to find y, we just plug 40 in for x, and we can use the second equation. So 50 times 40 equals y. So that's equal to 2,000. Paper up so you can see. All right, and the last thing is you end it with the sentence explain the solution. So the planes will be at the same altitude in 40 minutes. All right, so with that, if you understood all the examples, then you could start working on the assignment. If you didn't, you could be in the teacher-led group, and I can go over the examples with you again. So with that, have a wonderful Wildcat day.